was the best. No stroke corrections, no stopwatches, just time to play and do fun things. There were always lots of options in a place as big as Mountainview Community Center. It had 3 different pools. A 25-meter training pool, where the vipers swam, an extra deep diving pool, and a recreational pool with a lazy river, a row of spray nozzles, ropes, and all the water toys you could ask for. Dripping wet, Julia walked quickly toward the separate diving pool. Julia knew she was never allowed to run on the pool deck. The lifeguards made sure of that. She watched her teammates Olivia and Taylor Blyberg dash off in the same direction. They headed for the 1-meter springboard, doing their best fast walk that wasn't technically running. Julia thought about joining them, but counted all the people already in line. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then Olivia and Taylor? There was no way she was going to wait for 7 people to dive ahead of her. With only 5 minutes of free time, how could she spend them waiting? She thought about the rope swing, but there were too many people there too. The lazy river was also jam-packed. She turned to face the diving pool. The deepest part of this pool was directly underneath the 10-meter platform. Anybody who dove from that height was so brave. But the other end of the diving pool was still plenty deep and, more importantly, not crowded. Julia launched herself into a cannonball in a corner away from the diving boards. Through the ripples in the water, Julia spied a yellow diving brick on the pool floor. Sometimes people threw bricks or weighted rings into the water thinking they could dive and pick them up. But diving to the bottom of this pool was difficult. It was much deeper than people imagined. You had to know how to kick really hard and propel your body quickly downward, or you'd run out of air before you knew it. Julia decided she would use her precious splash time to retrieve the brick and put it back with all the other equipment that the swim team, and sometimes the lifeguards, used for training. It would be fun and helpful at the same time. Before plunging deep into the water, Julia looked over at the diving board and spotted Olivia and Taylor in line. They held their arms in front of their chests, shivering because they were still waiting for their turns. They might not even get a single dive in before time was up. Gripping the edge of the pool, Julia inhaled as deeply as she could. With one swift motion, she dove. As she kicked and a trail of bubbles floated away behind her, something felt off. The brick was too far. She wasn't going to make it. She couldn't really understand. Julia had done this dive so many times before. She had to turn back to the surface. Back with her head above the water, Julia used her best egg-beater leg kicks to tread water while she tried to puzzle out what was the matter. She adjusted her swim cap. When she wore one for too long, it got too stretchy and it wouldn't stay on her head properly. She tugged it down hard, but the cap was firmly on her head. It wasn't the problem. With her legs still spinning around and around, she checked her goggles. They were tight, but not too tight. Sometimes, if she pulled the straps too hard, she was left with dark circles around her eyes that made her look like a panda bear for hours afterwards. The goggles were fine. Julia rocked her head from side to side. She swallowed hard and stretched her body to reach for the edge of the pool. Julia felt frustrated. Something was definitely wrong. It just wasn't clear exactly what. Using both hands, she pinched the concrete edge of the pool and placed the soles of her feet against the tiled wall. She tried to think. She had been fine during practice, but now it was like something in her head felt out of place. Maybe she was just a little tired. Practice had been hard.